Fellow Zambians, good afternoon. We have gathered today for our members of parliament to speak to you about the matters that you are aware of concerning to the welfare of the National Assembly and our country. You are aware that yesterday the Speaker of the National Assembly declared 9
What's up? My name is Ken Bimbo, the MC with the sauce. Don't forget to subscribe to
Patriotic Front seats vacant, and the Speaker directed the Electoral Commission of Zambia to hold by-elections in these seats. The purported declaration of the seats that were vacant follows a constitutional court ruling that occurred last Thursday. You will remember that the Constitutional Court literally stated that they had no mandate or authority to hear the matter of interpreting the party constitution. They encouraged the parties involved to dialogue or take this matter to another forum, as the Constitutional Court stated that their mandate is to interpret the Republican Constitution and not party constitution. The affected nines are Honorable Ronald Kaumach-Totela from Pambashe in Luapula Province, Honorable Nixon Chilangwa from Kawambwa in Luapula Province, Christopher Kangombe, Kamfinsa, Honorable Remember Chanda Mtale from Chitambo in Central Province, Honorable Stephen Kampiongo from Shwangandu in Muchinga Province, Honorable Mlenga Fube from Chilubi Northern Province, and Honorable Mutotwe Kafwaya from Lunte constituents in Northern Province. The Speaker refused to recognize a letter written by Omao Sampa. Remember, he's one that purported to have expelled the nine. He then, after this ruling on Thursday, wrote a letter of renunciation in which he stated that he had given so-called amnesty to the nine, to the seven first, and an amendment to the nine. And he said he informed Parliament that he had also removed Morgan Ingona as Secretary General. However, the Speaker, who was acting on Mao Sampa's earlier letters, refused to act on this information. And further, a very serious matter, our members of Parliament, as soon as they were given this ruling, they filed in a process in the Constitutional Court. You are aware by precedent, and our chairperson for Legal Affairs, Honorable George Sangau, spent some time on this matter. When a matter is in court, Parliament does not touch it. So the illegality of the entire process, where Parliament, despite with demonstrable evidence that this matter was filed back in the Constitutional Court, proceeded to declare the seats vacant. The so-called expulsion occurred in December. I think the letters were dated 7th December 2023. Our MPs went to Parliament by December, by 23rd December 2023. This is when they took the matter to the Constitutional Court, stating that the expulsion was illegal and that they couldn't be expelled. Our MPs, we need to emphasize, have not been heard because they rushed the Constitutional Court, which has washed their hands like Pontius Pilate, and they are saying as a Constitutional Court, they cannot interpret issues relating to the party constitution of the Patriotic Front. So before our MPs are even heard, you have seen the actions that have since proceeded. We'll go in this fashion. I'll invite Honorable George Sangauza, chairperson for Legal Affairs, I think just to run through all these issues from the legal perspective, the constitutional perspective, and just the absurdity of what is occurring. Honorable George Sanga.
Thank you, Chair, for information. Good afternoon, press. Good afternoon, by extension, those who are listening to this live broadcast. I think mine is just to recap where we had started or where we'd left it yesterday. We dated the press because we felt that we needed to state our position so that people can understand the position that is taken by the Patriotic Front following the unconstitutional manner in which the 9 members of parliament, who by coincidence, unfortunately, all come from one region of the country, and also by coincidence, all of them are senior members in parliament, and by coincidence, 2 of them were the leaders of the opposition Patriotic Front in parliament, were unceremoniously and unconstitutionally ejected from parliament. We have taken a step as a Patriotic Front, and we've actually decided to return the services of lawyers to challenge this unconstitutional decision by the second Deputy Speaker. As a nation watched, at least those who follow parliamentary proceedings on television and radio, you would have noticed that yesterday Parliament convened as usual. And when the first Deputy Speaker was sitting in the chair, that ruling was not even expected by members of Parliament who were sitting in Parliament. Unfortunately, after the break, the second Deputy Speaker took the seat, and that's when he found it prudent himself to deliver the ruling. Now, of course, we have information about what was going on behind the curtains. It is something that we don't want to divulge to the public, but we just want to point out certain inconsistencies, even in the parliamentary practice, on what transpired yesterday, which led to that the delivery of the ruling by the second Deputy Speaker. During the first part of the sitting, we had an order paper, and on that order paper, there was no indication that the ruling was going to be delivered. And that's why members of Parliament went on like it's business as usual. In the second session, in the second set of the sitting, when the second Deputy Speaker is the one who took the seat, that's when he delivered the ruling. And after members of Parliament were ejected from Parliament, that's when they decided to circulate an amended order paper to indicate that there had been business of delivering that ruling on the order paper. Now, that is practically an inconsistency, and it is not in accordance with the practice of Parliament. But what is even more subtle about this is that, unfortunately, in this Parliament, whenever we are treated, or whenever the nation is treated to a very controversial ruling, the one who's sitting in the chair is either the second Deputy Speaker or the Speaker of Parliament herself. But most consistently is the second Deputy Speaker. One begins to wonder, or one is left to wonder, just what is the agenda that this second Deputy Speaker has in his role as presiding officer in that Parliament. And what is even more critical about this time is that, if you remember, not more than 10 days ago, the independent member of Parliament for Nkana, Honorable Mpundu Binwo, raised issues concerning the constitutionality of the second Deputy Speaker sitting in that chair. It was a valid point of order that was raised, but as has become practice in that House, any point of order raised on the floor of the House from the opposition, whether valid or
Honorable
not.
Sanga, speak to the thought by Honorable Bino Mpundu, where he challenged the legality of the Speaker, just to appraise our audience.
Yes, his position was informed by the observation of the Constitutional Court in the matter of Brian Mundubile, when his position as leader of opposition was actually challenged. And the Constitutional Court guided that actually, in their understanding of the Constitution, Honorable Mundubile's appointment or election as leader of opposition was constitutional, and they didn't find any fault with that appointment. In the course of delivering their ruling, they observed that there had been a position that had been created in that Parliament of the leader of the independent members of Parliament. Now, we knew that that was a maneuver or a machination by the UPND government to try and exert some control on Parliament. But when they noticed that even that gang or a group of independent members of Parliament who they thought were going to align with them decided to show independence, they then made a decision to basically disintegrate the group of independent members of Parliament. But the Constitutional Court guided that actually there is no position in the Constitution which allowed for the creation of the leader of independent members of Parliament, like Honorable J.J. Banda had been appointed. And by that reasoning, There is no position that the Speaker can come from among us independent members of Parliament. Under the Constitution, all the speakers must come or must be aligned to a political party. Mr. Speaker Moyo is actually an independent member of Parliament, and that person doesn't qualify him to become the Speaker. So there was a point of order raised, which, as unfortunate as we always expect, the Speaker did not decide to deliver any ruling. And he asked Mr. Moyo to exercise the other rights that he's got under the Constitution to challenge that position. So Mr. Moyo comes back as a wounded Speaker and finds it opportune to strike a blow at the appropriate time. But that is not even what our issue is. Our issue as a patriotic front is that the decision that Mr. Moyo rendered is actually a constitutional fallacy. That is our issue. Our issue is that under the current constitutional setup or dispensation, the role of the Speaker is that of an umpire alone. He is only there to preside over business of the House. He doesn't sit as a court. He doesn't have the mandate to make any declaration concerning the incumbency of members of Parliament. Under the constitutional democracy that we set ourselves out in 2016 by amending our Constitution, the constitutional mandate to declare a member of Parliament seat vacant is vested in the High Court and, by extension, the Constitutional Court. The Constitutional Court has what is called original and appellate jurisdiction to hear disputes of the incumbency in the office of a member of Parliament. And after hearing the cases on the merits of the case, then the Constitutional Court can pronounce that the MP, for the reasons that have been advanced that have been justified before the court, must vacate the office. And once the Constitutional Court makes or pronounces itself on that matter, there's now communication that comes to the Speaker of the National Assembly. And the Constitution gives the Speaker 7 days within which to announce that vacancy following the ruling of a Constitutional Court, and then communicate to the ECZ for the country to prepare for impending by-elections. So the Speaker does not have any power or any mandate under the Constitution to declare any seat for the MP vacant. This position of the Constitution was actually tested before the Constitutional Court through the case of Chimbakambwiri versus the Attorney General, when Honorable Chimbakambwiri was unceremoniously ejected from the House by Speaker Dr. Patrick Matibini, State Counsel. That challenge went to court, and the Constitutional Court made it very clear that the Speaker does not have any mandate to declare the seat vacant. Why did Mr. Moyo do what he did? We have argued, and we have justification, that from the time that the Patriotic Front lost the election in 2021, the UPND has waged a spirited campaign to decimate the Patriotic Front. They have taken all manner of machinations, referring senior members of the Patriotic Front in Parliament to courts for some of the most flimsy cases, petitioning the elections of all of us when we were elected. Fortunately, at that time, the judiciary was still exercising its independence, and most of the seats were served. And now, this presented for itself an opportunity to eject our colleagues from Parliament. They didn't care anyway whether what they're doing complies with the Constitution or not. So what we now have currently in the country is a constitutional crisis. And the constitutional crisis has to be addressed. How is it to be addressed? It is to be addressed by taking recourse back to court. Because in the constitutional setup that we have, like I said many times, we have vested the power from the people and put it in the hands of those 15 people who sit in the Constitutional Court to tell us what is happening and whether what is happening is constitutional or not. The difficulty that this presents the Patriotic Front with is this, that in the recent months, our attendance before the Constitutional Court have been marred in controversy and have been marred in the inability by the court to address itself to the real issues that are presented before that court. There is only one important issue that is presented before that court, be it the High Court or the Constitutional Court, i.e. whether the convention or the retreat that took place on 24th of October 2023, was a convention in accordance with the Patriotic Front Constitution. That is the question that begs the fundamental answer. And as long as the court is going to vacillate around that issue and failing to address itself to that issue, we are going to have a problem. We are actually on the brink of a serious constitutional crisis in this country because the courts have decided to shy away from dealing with the issue that is presented before them. There have been these arguments that on the preliminary issues that have been raised by the lawyers for Mr. Sam, for the other party, the courts were right to say they have no jurisdiction. I frankly beg to differ with that position because I have practiced law in this country for more than 30 years. We have had cases before the superior courts of this country where even when the court finds that there are some technical lapses in the way the pleadings have been prepared and presented before the court, because of the need to address the interests of justice, the courts have gone ahead and heard the matters and pronounced themselves on the merits of the case because that is the duty that the Constitution places on the court. Previously, in fact, when courts used to ensure that the merits of the case are determined, are deliberated upon and determined, we didn't even have a clause in the Constitution that mandates the courts to make sure that the merits of a case is heard. Fortunately for us as Patriotic Front, in the current constitutional dispensation, because of the views that were given to the reform process that was taking place, there is even a provision in the Constitution that in hearing matters that are brought before the courts, courts are not going to be bogged down by technicalities because their greatest duty is to do the greater interest of justice to the parties before the court. Our argument is that we seem not to be getting justice before the courts of law. But I have always pronounced that the Patriotic Front is law-abiding, the Patriotic Front complies with the Constitution, and we are going back to the court itself to go and make a determination, seek a determination on whether the decision by Mr. Moyo is right or wrong. In our position, we have no doubt at all that the position taken by Mr. Moyo is wrong. I can briefly demonstrate. Firstly, like I said, under Article 75, the Speaker cannot declare a seat vacant. Secondly, there is a cherished principle of law that states that if a matter is before the court of law, Parliament is paralyzed. It can't do anything with that matter because of the need to respect the divided sovereignty between Parliament and the justice system. We have demonstrated, and we have now made available documentation to the public, that shows that on Thursday itself, when the first matter was dismissed for lack of jurisdiction by the Constitutional Court, the parties who were aggrieved decided to file fresh proceedings, and those documents were actually served on the office of a Speaker. In fact, we have information that even before making that pronouncement, the Speaker were pacing up and down, tried to create the impression that they had not been served the proceedings. But we had stamped documents that showed that those proceedings arrived at Parliament, the day before the standing order, the point of order was raised. And that was demonstrated. So they were served and they were aware of the proceedings. This Speaker, through the excitement that has inflicted him, decided to ignore such a fundamental principle and practice of Parliament and ignored the fact that there had been served proceedings. Secondly, we have faulted the Speaker because at the time he was making a pronouncement suggesting that these members of Parliament had been expelled, there were no expulsions. Because the same Miles Sampa who had communicated the position of expelling these members of Parliament, of course through his Secretary General, is the same Miles Sampa who communicated the withdrawal of the expulsion. Look, even small children are now arguing on social media that how did this Parliament accept the first communication from Miles Sampa saying, I have appointed Mr. Angona as my Secretary General and is going to be conducting the affairs of Secretary General. How is this court now this Speaker rather, or this Parliament now refusing to accept the letter from Mr. Miles Sampa saying that I've withdrawn Mr. Ngona's authority. Under the law, anybody who is a practicing lawyer or a judge will tell you, under Cap 2, General Interpretations Act of Zambia, a person who has got power to appoint is the only person who has got power to withdraw the appointment. And you don't question that. Unfortunately, because we are living in a pariah state where what is convenient to the ruling elite is what goes, these people can choose what they accept and they can choose what they reject. Because it fitted them to accept communication from our Sampa appointing Mr. Ngona, they accepted that position. And now because it doesn't fit them to accept communication to withdraw Mr. Ngona's authority, they reject that position. Now, here's a crisis this thing has now created for the nation. And we're now looking like children in the eyes of judge in public. Suddenly, Mr. Chavinga has now expelled Mr. Sampa. Where have you ever heard a person who is a servant firing his master? You know, you started this a child's play. And for me, I was laughing today because there's a gentleman at State House who has issued a statement trying to distance the president from what is going on. Look, the president's signature is all over what is going on in this country. Correct. This president, on the day that Mao Sampa was having a convention, Chavinga was pacing between State House and where Mao Sampa was having a convention. He was making public declarations himself. Oh, vane, nafumaku State House. We are celebrating independence of our president, but naisa kuno, imone formula ichita kuno. So he was the first person who voted for Mao Sampa to create the impression that this is a convention because a member of parliament was attending. The convention requires all these members of parliament who are sitting here to attend. There was only Chavinga in that convention. And he declared in front of cameras, with protection from the police, that he had come to vote for Mao Sampa and he was going to notify the president that everything is going on very well there. And he had even told everyone, we've got packages for you, so vote any family. 2 days or 1 day after that, Ronald, remember, this president was in Kasama, opening the airport. When he made that unpalatable statement, I won't even repeat it in the Mwanawa Kwalesa, he declared his unflinching support for Chavinga and told him, Kosafe Mwaiche, we will support you. You know, I was talking to a jurist from Tanzania who's a friend of mine because I belong to the Pan-African Lawyers Union. He was laughing, saying, in your country you have such democracy that the most fearless critic of the president flies with him on the same plane and they go and conduct work together with the president. How is he going to provide checks and balances for that president? And we were all laughing, thinking this is child's play. Now, look at where we have bogged ourselves down to. That Mr. Chavinga today, he has not only fired Mao Sampa, according to him, he has even threatened all of us who are here, at least those who remain in parliament, that if we don't play ball, he's going to expel us. That is where we have reached as a nation. Now, this is a looming constitutional crisis, and it has happened because, like I said yesterday, people think that whatever is happening here is a fight between the Patriotic Front and the UPND. Far from it. What is happening here is the destabilization of our constitutional order in the country. It is a destabilization of our existing sovereignty of the Republic of Zambia. What defines us as the Republic of Zambia is contained in the Constitution. The Constitution is such a dangerous document that if you remove a "there" from a clause in the Constitution, you can create a crisis. But we have not only removed the "there," we have actually toiled with the Constitution because we want to replace what the Constitution dictates with the power of those who are running the affairs of the nation. And once this journey ends, let me tell you, the whole country is going to be licking itself in wounds unless we can stand up to defend the Constitution. Look, there was a time when Honorable Stotera, as a senior member of parliament, raised a point of order on Mao Sampa because the Patriotic Front had decided to expel Mao Sampa after the 24th October retreat. The Speaker, the Speaker Nelly Muti, in keeping with the cherished practice of parliamentary procedure, declared that because the matters concerning Mr. Sampa at that time were before courts of law, her office was constrained to make any pronouncement concerning the seat for Matero constituency. We are the Patriotic Front. We respect the Constitution. We even respect correct decisions of the Speaker. We sat back, we never challenged it. We wanted Mr. Sampa to be removed from PAP, Pan-African Parliament. We also wanted the seat to be declared vacant. We respected the Speaker's ruling. Unfortunately, we didn't know that the Speaker was making a ruling at that time because it was convenient for them. Now it is not convenient. They have shoved off the very mouse and powers they are darling in their eyes. But like the SG said yesterday, we are going to work with Mr. Sampa because he has shown remorse and he has shown exactly where it is all going. But the reality that faces the nation, and this is where I would like to conclude, Chair, is that we now stand at the brink of a critical constitutional crisis. It's a dark day for this nation. But for me, it is even darker because there has been a very consistent pattern of breaching the Constitution by the UPND government. Now, unfortunately, working in collusion with the presiding officers at the National Assembly. And like I said yesterday, and unfortunately so, by extension, with some certain sections of our judicature. There are some judges who have decided to abdicate their responsibility. There are some judges who have decided that they're going to show the coward part of their lives, that they can't make decisions when they're called upon to make decisions. I always argue that judges must be very brave because the Constitution guarantees what is called the security of tenure. But if you are a Zambian who follows politics, you don't have to go far to understand why some of the judges are beginning to chicken out. In the history of this nation, it is only when President Hakainde Hichilema became the president that you had 3 judges fired within a space of 6 months. It has never happened. Even Dr. Kenneth David Kaunda, who managed the affairs of this nation with an iron fist, never fired a judge, and not in the manner that this president has fired these judges. Some of you are not born. There was a very controversial case involving Mr. James Skinner, a white man who had decided to partner with the black Zambians to fight for independence in this country. In recognition of his contribution to the nation, the UNIP government made him member of cabinet and attorney general, and later he became Chief Justice. One time he made a decision that the politicians found very controversial, but that the nation found correct because he defended some Portuguese who had strayed into this country, and they said they could not keep them in jail. He let them go. People cried for his blood. They demanded for his ejection. Kaunda could not have him bring himself to firing James Skinner. James Skinner had to resign on his own. That's how controversial it was in the 70s, at the hands of the man who ran this country with an iron fist. This president, who was ushered into government through a democratic process in 2021, has decided to fire 3 judges within a space of 6 months. That message was telling to the judges. But I can only call upon judges to still remain brave. We are a constitutional democracy. Their tenure is secured by the Constitution. Yesterday I said, and I can repeat here, they are also part of the sovereign authority of this state. They have a function. It is only when we respect our constitutional democracy that is when we're going to spur ourselves to development. Yesterday I didn't sleep, Chairman. I was remembering the squalor which I see the people in Lukasha constituency live by. I was remembering how people cannot have access to clean water. I was remembering how people have to queue up to get relief food because they've got no food. And what causes all this kind of squalor is a kind of politics that we're doing in the nation. Because how can you justify the fact that somebody is even relishing a possibility of by-elections, in Lunte, which will cost him not less than $2 million, that one by-election, when you've got people who don't even have clothes to wear, when you've got people who can't have 1 meal a day, and some of us, we actually gave ourselves the responsibility to go and save our kith and kin where we come from. It's very painful that we can continue toiling with politics now, especially by a government that came behind popular acclaim from the people that PF was a bad government. We need to replace it with a good government. Quite frankly, anybody who has made any judgment about what has been happening in the last 3 years and compared it to what happened in 10 years has come to the settled conclusion that PF was a better government than what we have right now. And this is why people are crying out where they are, that maybe Edgar Lungu must come back. These are real problems that we are facing as a nation. But away from politics, for me, I would like to make a call to all the stakeholders in Zambia, to all the chiefs in Zambia, Southern Province, Western Province, Eastern Province, Northern Province, Muchinga, Luapula Province, elsewhere. The chiefs must take a keen role and interest in what is going on in the nation. I am calling all the Christian and faith-based organizations in the country to take a keen interest in what is going on in the country. I am calling on even other political players, including, like I said yesterday, and quite frankly, I must confess, when I said yesterday that I'm expecting people, even within UPND, who are seeing the problems we're facing, to stand up and defend the Constitution, I received phone calls from UPND members. Colleagues have actually told me, Mr. Tsanga, you have now started speaking the language the Zambians expect you to speak. Even we are unhappy with how we are seeing, the degeneration in this country. But I've said, join us. We don't hate the president. We just want to tell him that this is wrong. We have a direction which Zambians expect you to take us, and you're taking us the wrong direction. I am calling upon NGOs. I'm calling upon other political parties to join this sacred fight against the destruction of our constitutional order. The beauty about the fight we're waging right now as Patriotic Front is that we've got leadership to provide in this fight. Once, as it is happening, our leaders are being knocked out every time, it is going to become chaotic where we're going forward. And we all have a duty to ensure that we avoid that from happening. I'm so grateful that you've heard me. Thank you very much for speaking to the press and the people.
Thank you, Chairperson for Legal Affairs, Honorable George Sanga, MP. I'll invite Honorable Mtoto Kafwaya to speak.
Well, thank you so much. I think I have to adopt just about everything that the legal chairman has highlighted. For me, I have to just begin by saying that the president is responsible for what is happening. He's responsible because if he wasn't, he could have stopped all this. As a matter of fact, some months ago, the president threatened the Patriotic Front at a public rally somewhere in Kanyama, where he said that if you regroup, ndechinje mingalato.
Or throat to you.
Mwakula chitamu ashani noku, na pita kunu manae katapa mkoshi. Now, I don't know whether the meeting between Mao Samba and former President Edgar Lungu demonstrated regrouping. If that was the case, then kukamapa mkoshi. Kukamaba nani as the victims, the representatives of the people. I think when Ambassador Emmanuel Mwamba was reading out the affected MPs, I followed the names and I realized that we are all members. All of us who have been affected by this, we are all members. And with this talk of tribalism, which has become very popular lately, I fear for the members, really. I do fear for all the Bemba-speaking people. You can't have 9 MPs, sent home by a speaker who does not have power to do so. I think it's very unfortunate. Look, now coming down to the National Assembly, I think for me, I just take the issue back to HH. HH is the one at fault. HH is the one who should be pointed at. HH is the one, I think, who should be blamed. Because even the the initial reason for which all these things occurred, the initial conference, it was guarded by HH's police. Yesterday, Chavinga's press conference was guarded by HH's police. So how is it that his police are so interested in guarding the formations which are made for the purpose of just destabilizing the Patriotic Front, and then HH is quiet? I think this is his project. Now, this for me confirms what I've always thought, that HH fears democracy. HH fears democracy to the core. He doesn't love democracy. He doesn't want to be criticized. He doesn't want his policies to be critiqued. When people are going 20 hours, load-shedded, HH doesn't want anyone to critique that. HH wants all the people to blame PF for 20 hours of load shedding currently happening. When people are buying Mirimi at 400 kwacha per 25 kg bag, HH wants people to blame the Patriotic Front for that. The moment you say it is you, HH, because when you came into power, this bag was costing 120 kwacha, he gets upset. But it's actually him. It is him who exported the maize. It is him who is the president when people are suffering these long hours of load shedding. Now, when for us in the opposition, when we criticize him, he thinks we are his enemies. But no, we are not. It's just that on some of these matters, we don't agree with him. So personally, I think HH should find a way of loving democracy again, because it is democracy which brought him to where he is. Otherwise, his strong desire to annihilate democracy will just destroy the country. And I think it must also worry him that all of us who have been affected by this are Bemba-speaking people. This is not speaking very well into his songs of unity, into his songs of, one Zambia, one nation. I think that the majority tribe in parliament right now are Tonga-speaking people. They hold the majority because for them they have seats from Southern Province, from Lusaka Province, Copper Belt Province, from Central Province. They are the majority in parliament. We, the Bemba-speaking people, are not even the majority. We are fewer. So it's just important that the president comes good on these matters. Otherwise, I call upon him to reverse his imagination about democracy. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Honorable MP from Lunten. I'll invite Chilubi MP, Honorable Mlengafu, to make his remarks.
Thank you very much, Chair. I think I'll pick it from where my brother, Honorable for Lunten, has left it. I also want to toe that line by emphasizing that Tuaka Inde Chilema, whether Amasaka feels that his president who gives him a salary is not involved in this, the whole scheme has been known for a longer period. And I think all the people, including Maos, have just been pawns in the game of chess. And we need to understand that going that route, our president, to let me but don't feel safe. You know, when you are fighting with your fellow man, and you rise to throw blows, you should not think that you are just going to fight and you will not beat back. Democracy as it may be, especially that we chose democracy to revert back to democracy through amending Article 4 of the Constitution of Zambia. And Dr. Kaunda, that gallant man, allowed it to be so, even when he was more powerful. A president that has been more powerful than any other president is Kaunda. And Kaunda was a high man of some sort. And if Zambians defeated Dr. Kaunda in elections, even when he allowed the amendment of the constitution, who is Wabwana HH? We know that by doing so, he may think that he's going to affect the 9 MPs and the like. This is a bigger problem than the highest meet. It may just turn and collapse on his face. It may just turn and open the gates for his exit. And if he feels that he's going to be safe as far as we are not safe, that is going to be safe as far as we are vulnerable, is mistaken. I want to bring into attention of constitutional requirements that are embedded in, enshrined in Article 91, Clause 3, A to F. Among them, protection of the Constitution. Actually, the Constitution says respect, safeguard, and protect the Constitution. And another one is about integrity. The other one is also talking about promotion of democracy and national unity, and many other. Article 92 further talks about him exercising leadership with integrity and I think above board, which on all these scores, the constitutional requirements, he has failed. This is a man that has overlooked in Kasama when he was opening that airport we started. He overlooked Article 72 and 74, not 72. 72 is what Moyo overlooked yesterday. 74, which talks about the leader of the opposition. When he praised Chawinga, and he recognized him as a leader of the opposition, we know that he is banking on what is called arrogance of numbers, because he cannot be impeached through parliament. But the Zambians have a last say. We all, the members of parliament, and even him and the executive, we are just holding this power as borrowed power in stewardship. And I think it should not make any one of us big-headed, that we are on top of the world and we are just going to have a land over it. I think me, coming from Chirubi, I can tell you that and I think we have taken us for granted. You have taken us for a ride. You are abusing the law and we are seeing you. We have tried to go to courts. We have tried all the civil avenues. And I think you are the first one who has introduced lawlessness in this country by not obeying the Constitution. And I think we need to be candid and strong on this one. This behavior of being truant about the law should not be allowed anymore in this nation. We chose you, we gave you power, and we have recognized you. Unlike what you did to your friend, where you only recognized Edgar Chagalungu when he was handing over power to you. You, all the time that he learned, the 7 years that he learned, you never recognized him as a president. But we have recognized you as a president. What is it that you want from us? What is it that you're asking from us? I don't know what we can actually cave out of such a situation. All I know about Bamoyo, I repeat, don't be used as a mob. Don't be used as a mob. Governments don't rust. And this is the one-term president that I can guarantee you, he has already bought himself an exit ticket. And when you choose to be used as a mob, Bamoyo, lifespan for us politicians is in the hands of the people. It's in the hands of the people. Yesterday, Bamoyo, mwalikweta documents ya court mwakano kubelenga, you overlooked standing order number 57. After you read, you had to produce a makeshift supplementary standing order, order paper, so that you qualify you legitimize the process that you want. And in any case, out of all the things, our suspensions have been suspended for 60 days. When people of Chirubi, in this same session, when people of Chirubi have sent me to represent them properly, the first suspension was on constitutional breach, when we raised the red flag that this constitution has been breached, and it was to talk about State House. When you actually quoted Article 34, which was in the old constitution, when you are supposed to quote actually the executive powers as it may be in Article 90, and we raised that red flag, it is you that was in the forefront for us to be suspended. Today, we again go on to where I remember Honorable for Kamfinsa was raising a concern on Article 60 of the Constitution when you fumbled. It is you, Moyo, that again made us to be suspended. And do you think that we are not human beings? Do you think that we do not have blood? Do you think that we do not have human feelings? And we will just be watching you like that. Moyo, wake up. Moyo, you ought to wake up. And I can tell you, Moyo, that that flavor of you being called, and actually you are an illegal deputy, second deputy, according to the ruling that was just rendered recently. You need to wake up. I know that you may have struggles in having a conscience. My faith does not allow me to meander. I say the truth. And I think, Bwana HH, my last call on you is that it's not too late to recorrect this. And you cannot pretend that the buck does not stop at you. You cannot pretend that these constitutional breaches, you are not seeing them. We are talking about the Constitution. If you feel that by saying whatever I've said, I have created any crime, I'm ready for arrest in any case. I think we are not going to allow you to be threatening the citizens every time you feel that citizens should be threatened. I'm not even saying this out of bitterness. Anyway, I was not born an MP. And I think possibly I would have had political passion. An MP has just come as a bonus for me to participate in my national affairs. And we are not afraid of this particular arrangement that you have made. But what you can assure you is that we are here, tomorrow we'll be here, and we will participate in our affairs. Just like Jesus said, at kevenyu yomumbwe, lelo ndipano, na mailo nkawapano. And those who have read the Bible, Mumbwe was referred to as that belonging to the rich people. I know when I say Mumbwe, some other people who haven't read the Bible, they will rush to say that I was telling the president as a Mumbwe. Most of these people are not exposed. Equally, I think we saw the interpretation of the Joseph's dream there, that biblical knowledge is very limited. Now, when we look at the scenario that we are in my conclusion, I would like to say that for some of you who may be watching us, you may think this is just about PF. It's a cancer that has gone deeper than PF. It's a cancer that goes beyond the 9 members of parliament that have been suspended, even beyond PF party. It's a cancer that has been spread to all of us, including some of you who feel you are safe in UPND. You have a monster. You have a dictator. You should wait at a time when you are going to scratch his interests. He has shown his characteristics. You will see how the adoptions will be done, and you call me a prophet. Because this is a man who is afraid of divergent views. This is a man who is afraid of anything that threatens his power. And some of you who may be living in the comfort, and you feel that you are comfortable, you are not comfortable as far as Babwana Church, Wali Pampando, Wale Catalan Mateo, Wali Kalapokale Pampando, Wale Katana Sterling. A president who can easily climb down to one JJ at a press conference. A citizen. And things start happening. Oh, tule tamba feno, kulumba tule lumba. Our JJ fiaba, our JJ what and what. We have seen this president campaigning in Kwacha, in Kwacha and Kabushi, when the courts were saying something else. And then we are seeing that this is a characteristic that we should embrace as Zambians who have chosen democracy. I can simply appeal to the conscience of the nation that let us rise up, not with arms, with a civic duty to protect the Constitution. The president has failed to protect the Constitution. The president has shown unfitness to protect the Constitution. And some of you infidels who surround the president, spineless men who surround the president and feel that you are going to have it easy, you should think twice. And I think this message goes to Amasaka and his friends, where they feel that they can play ball with this nation and no, we are all dancing. Actually, on this one, you see, and you actually come and tell me that some of these routes that you have tried to venture in is signing your own exit to power. Zambianzi, bari temwe chivote. Ama Zambianzi, bari temwe democracy. Zambians, balitemwa harmony, balitemwa na unity. You are taking them away from the values they believe in. And I can tell you that you are going to have a backlash. You remember my words. This is not to say we are injured, and that's why we are saying this. We have watched too much, and I think we have seen. It's time we called you out of the hole, that you are the one who is on the center of this. You are just using these other people. And unfortunately, they are also dancing to your tune. You are the one who is doing all this. You are the masterminder because of your insecurities. I mean, how can you, in a person who won these elections by 1 million, just a few years ago, can be this insecure? Someone who even doubt how you won. You see? So when we look at this, by Emmanuel, but otherwise, you never president the team patching to wing pano. Now I'm going to come to Mapufi Valley take a chalo. But if you're pushing Salah, now I let time a problem, Mchalo, all of a course, a party PF. Ah, one alekenico. By Mano, Tina Perela Papene. Emquai.
One of the oldest MPs, one of the most experienced MPs. So he will tell you.
Thank you so much. Legal counsel, as you are often referred to in the legal fraternity. I heard you referring to legal jargons. This is, I wanted to say, look, my brother and cousin Moyo was saved with the, because I'm the lead petition.
That's right.
Immediately after the Constitution Court decided to refer the matter to the court responsible to hear the matter. That Thursday, 27th, we worked throughout the afternoon, and we went to court and filed the documents. We didn't go to court before making sure, or we didn't go back to Parliament before making sure that our lawyer serves on the National Assembly. The lawyer went in with the Honorable Kangombe, served on the clerk of the National Assembly, and we were notified. That's how we drove to Parliament. We spoke to Deputy Clerk in charge of the corporate affairs, Mr. Kawimbe, who was the husband to one of the judges at the Constitution Court bench, and confirmed the receipt of that document. That's how we went to Parliament. And standing.
So a document from the Constitutional Court that you tendered before the National Assembly was received, stamped, and confirmed receipt?
Yes.
There's evidence of
that. And not just the evidence of stamping, even the evidence of a phone conversation with Mr. Kawimbe, Deputy Secretary of National, the Deputy Clerk of the National Assembly in charge of the corporate affairs, who's the husband to one of the judges at the Constitution Court bench.
Correct.
It's a fact. Anybody can confirm, and we met with Mr. Kawimbe in the car park, and we spoke, and he said, yes, we've received. Benjamin Mwelwa, who went to serve, we even had the cup of tea with him in the bar area. Mwelwa, one of the lawyers, okay, served on National Assembly, and according to standing orders, 79. And in fact, the ones we have adopted for 2024, they have even gone further to say, even when somebody has been summoned by the police, Parliament should not debate it, will be interfering. Standing Order 79-4, they carried on 2024. And more so, the civil litigation, it says, even where there's an intention, application of intention to appeal, Parliament will not debate that matter until the matter is concluded in the courts of law. That is the new standing orders that we adopted this year in April. And Speaker Neri Muti, last year in November 2023, when I raised the point of order on the existence of the Member of Parliament for Matero, Honorable Sampa, she said she quoted the ruling by the Constitutional Court, including the decision she made when she sent out the 9 members of parliament whose seats were nullified. Included was my brother, the member of parliament for Lungu. She quoted that judgment also and said, my hands are now tied by the decisions of the Constitutional Court that the Speaker has no right, no jurisdiction to declare a seat vacant. My role is to receive communication from the court once they confirm that indeed Mao Sampa has been expelled. Then the court will inform me whether Sampa will not be found with a case. Then he will have a right to choose whether to remain a member of PF or independent. If the court confirms that yes, the party followed the procedure, then the court will write to me after the court has declared the seat vacant. Then I will communicate to ECZ. But yesterday, my cousin Moyo assumed the responsibility of the court by declaring the seats vacant. I want to ask the Zambian people the question you must ask Deputy Speaker Moyo. Which court communicated to him that the 9 seats are vacant?
They've been declared vacant.
Or where did he draw the authority from to declare the seats vacant? Even in the face of the court proceedings, today, my lawyer was appearing before the 3 bench of the Constitution Court judges over the matter we filed in on Thursday. The matter came up today at 9 hours. Now I was laughing. I said, peradventure, if the court said some powers wrong, and then Honorable Deputy Speaker was declared seats vacant, how will he look? And I want to announce to the members of the public that I was speaking to Benjamin Moira, the lawyer who's taking charge of this matter. The matter has been adjourned to 15 July. So where is the, and I have information, I've received a whether confirmed or unconfirmed report that Parliament has even written to ECZ informing them about the existence of 6 vacancies in the National Assembly. Now, the question is, why should we risk the same embarrassing situation that the Parliament experienced last time, where we had 2 members of Parliament on 1 constituency, going by the ruling of the Constitution Court for our own constituency? We had Chala serving as a member of Parliament, and then Ngamwidi, also the court ruled that yes, it was unconstitutional. Do we intend to have a situation where we shall have 18 members of Parliament with 9 seats, and all the 18 will receive full salaries and full gratuity at the expense of the nation and development besides the cost? And then how certain are we that when we go to Pambash, the people of Pambash will not accept Chitotela or seek the guidance of Chitotela and who they would want to be the MP? And as we go to the constituencies, if we go for by-election, what are they going to tell the people the offenses we committed for Moyo to throw us out of Parliament? Because maybe you members of the media, you might not even have read the original expulsion by Honorable Sampa while we took to court. He quoted Article 27 that talks about there shall be branches in the district. So now we're asking, what offense have we committed for there shall be branches in the district? So maybe out of that realization, Sampa realized he was wrong. He decided to withdraw the expulsion from Parliament. Now that Sampa, even with his wrong quotation of the Constitution, says there shall be branches in the district, it is the only Constitution clause of PF he quoted to say you have breached Article 27 of PF Constitution. When you read that article, it talks about there shall be branches in the district. There are so many branches in the district, in Kawamba district. So I was waiting for some, and I'm still waiting, because the matter is in court to tell the expelled how that forms part of the disciplinary processes. So now that is Mao's realized, because obviously he realized he could have done it out of emotions. He withdraws the expulsion, and there are no expulsion. So what is the basis for Speaker Moyo to send us out of Parliament and declare our seats vacant? Maybe the question I would want to ask him, my cousin Moyo, is, don't you think it is political suicide to send 9 MPs, and you are also an MP? What if they choose to go and decamp in your constituents and campaign against you? Did you think about that? What if we choose to go to Lungu and not contest and choose to spend some of our earnings in Lungu constituents against you? You think you are that strong to defeat all of us? Maybe you didn't think of that. And in Bemba we say, meaning when you throw a spear, no matter how high it goes, it will still come down. That saying says, you can rise in life, but you must remember that one day you will fall. No matter how high you may rise, you will fall. So I want to appeal to the conscience of the people, the judiciary. Now I'm even wondering whether even going to court will save all papers, because if there's a matter in court and then Parliament chooses to proceed and declare seats vacant, and there are strong rumors that Parliament has written to ECZ to start preparing for by-election for the 9 seats. Maybe we needed to go to our people and begin preparing them so that as they come, they will face people in our various constituencies and they will be able to ask them questions and say, tell us, we show mwana weso, achitilendo mwebo. But then bakabasukati, yo mwana wenu arufie nyevi. Because I have been, jokes aside, I was speaking to the people in Pambasha and the chiefs, and I want to appeal for calmness. I know the areas, the affected areas are tense. People's emotions are very high. And I want to appeal. Ndelomba mkwae, muteke fie mitima panchi. Butembere, ngo bulile, kunaka, apa apilwe kuri yankalamu. Nakabundiche fio mutu, mpako shaba nabena. Ukuteke mbwa, mano, akubula mano, atekere mbwa mchipiu yaya. Kairi, muteka nyemu kwa ilionse ndala ndati. Ichongo chababo mbwe, tachile shensofu kunwa menshi. The masters in this election are the people. If you, the ECZ, as we have heard the indications, would want to proceed and call for this election, they will meet the people of various constituencies and the people will decide. But at whose expense? At the national expense. We have been in Parliament for, if God allows, we finish this term, I'll be there for 15 years, and from PF, we were the 5 of us. And the 5 of us, the 3 of us affected. The only 2 who are remaining is Honorable Mabumba and Sidin Mushang. The rest is me, Honorable Chirango, and Kampiong. So now I want to speak that it will not help to create this by-election. And by the way, as the Honorable MP for Chirovi said, we must have respect to the law of law. We must respect the Constitution, because that is the law we make for ourselves. We must respect the choice of people. And I usually say, maturity is ability to contend with divergent views. If you fail to comprehend with divergent views, then You are very mature, ladies and gentlemen. Even in the house, don't marry a man who cannot comprehend the divergent views. Then he's very mature. You'll be fighting every day. Don't marry a woman who cannot comprehend the divergent views. You'll be fighting every day. Differ in terms of opinions, but learn to agree. You may have different ideologies, but that must not lead to fight. Then that is the highest level of immaturity. So I want to appeal for calmness among our people. This is not just in Pambasha. I'm receiving phone calls as far as in Chelenge, Copper Belt, even as Honorable Tsanga said, members of parliament from UPND are sending messages of sadness. They are saying they don't know what's happening. They have no ways to speak. They have no ways to express. Senior members. 1997. And they are saying, we don't know what is happening. So we want just to assure them that we still have a lot of confidence in our institution of governance because we created them for ourselves. And they are the watchdogs for democracy. We have decided to go back to court, but we will not close all the doors. We will go back to court and we shall engage our people in our various constituencies. In an event we don't get that which we desire, we'll go back to our people. We will go back and speak to our people and we'll tell them, ngabayisa bawe somukese kusati vinshi bachitire bachitotere chomwe batamfishe ku parliament. Elo nkama ichibemba twe batukulavira kupanya. And the Bible says, in abundance of words, sin does not lack. So we want just to appeal to the people of Zambia, to appeal to our sympathizers. And even in the next future decisions, let's be rational. Let's not be irrational. We must be rational. We must exercise maximum maturity, more especially if our decisions are to affect the nation. Because we must be able to say, what if I did this? What will be the net effect of what I'm doing? We must give conscience to everything we want to do. Conscious decision will be able to inform. I've heard my friends talking about, unfortunately, me, I was whispering to the Council Tsanga that I'm conflicted. I can't speak about the tribe because I'm not married to a Bembe. So what is the tribe of my children? Ambassador Mwamba, what is the tribe of your children? They are Zambians. They are Zambians. So let's be Zambians. And Zambia is our heritage. And I want to emphasize that once we begin understanding that what brings us together as one is a country called Zambia, then we shall walk as one. Let's make sure that we treasure one another, but above all, let's learn to tolerate divergent views. That is the hallmark of leadership. The divergent views must be tolerated. Then we begin growing as a united and a democratic state. If we don't tolerate one another, we'll be fighting every day. We'll be sizing each other to see who has more authority than who. When you have authority, people recognize you that I've been a minister. The people recognize me as minister. It didn't require me to start bossing around my fellow workers in the ministry. Hey, you don't know that I'm your minister. No. It is people who recognize and said, oh, that one is our minister. So let's learn to use our authority with a maximum duty and responsibilities that come, because the Bible says, to whom much is given, much is required. Thank you so much, Ambassador.
Thank you very much. Let me just use your seat to conclude. Honorable George Sang, I would like to thank you, Honorable Mtoto Kafaya, Honorable Mlenga Fube, and our senior, Honorable Ronald Kaumach Totela, for this press conference. Ladies and gentlemen, today we have a series of activities relating to the illegal activities that just occurred, the expulsion and declaration of the 9 seats. The decisions are illegal, and I think that's what we're trying to demonstrate. Then there is a call to leadership of President Hakainde Hichilema that he must exercise his powers in the interest of our country. And as you heard there is a demonstrable fact here that the president is acting in a very careless manner. Look at this. We have a national disaster where 6.8 million of our people face hunger. We have the highest cost of living in recent memory. We have the price of meal for the first time totally unaffordable by our people. The price of fuel is in excess of 30 kwacha, is 34 kwacha. Our exchange rate is volatile. We haven't seen the exchange rate this volatile. I think the last we saw is in the 89s and 90s, where in 1 week it's the worst currency in the world. The following week it's the best currency in the world.
It's been showed up.
And you can imagine the damage that this is doing to our country. We've never had load shedding extending from 20 hours to 32 hours. We have the worst case of load shedding. And this government continues to export power. They've refused to stop exports of power because they committed to Namibia, Botswana, South Africa.
But they're also using exports of power to show up the dollar.
Yeah.
That's the only way the dollar looks stable. It's not even, this is a very fictitious stability.
Yeah, correct. The dollar is not stable at all. The volatility is high. How do you export power when your people need it so much? Why haven't they implemented the force majeure in the clauses, exit clauses, to ensure that during the moment of crisis, Zambians can have power? And the number that ZESCO gave is extremely big, 281 megawatts of power that they're exporting every day. That can feed Lusaka, Copperbelt, Solwezi, and surrounding areas, but it's dedicated to export. We have disease outbreaks, cholera. We didn't even think that you can have outbreaks like syphilis. We have a syphilis outbreak, yes, and the epicenter is Solwezi and Lusaka. Yes, I am 70s. They are back under this government. Yes.
Syphilis was first discovered in 68.
Yeah. Dysentery, typhoid, and anthrax. These are animal diseases. We didn't think that these diseases would affect our people. Now you have anthrax diseases. The last one, you remember, it affected many parts of our country, including Chipata, Mpika, Sinazongwe. Then we have an economic meltdown with no solution in sight. We have then these threats against democracy and the rule of law. So we call upon President Hakainde Hichilema to exercise maximum restraint, recognize that he's superintending over a country that is facing numerous crises. What it requires is responsible leadership, very responsible leadership. You do not need careless leadership. With those few words, I would like to thank you for coming, and members of the press for turning up and covering our MPs. God bless you. God bless our country. And shalom, shalom. Thank you.
Thank you. Amen. Thank you, too.
Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel, J Cool, and turn on the notification bell, cause I'm gonna see you in the next video.